Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally back again. It's a good position to be in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you for joining the stream. We are going to be joined by Brighton Bubble. There's so much to talk about, so much stuff going on, so many transfers. By the way, chat, can you let me know if you can hear me? I want to see where you all are. We're so back. We are so back. Yes, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this stream. It's the first time that Bubble's joining me on stream as well. Owen would be normally here, but he's a bit unwell at the minute. So until that point, chat, yeah, stream finally, mate. Honestly, after last time, if anyone was here last time, it was stressful. I was battling for my life on settings, trying to get my laptop working. But until he joins us, it's good to just get into this really and what's going on. I mean, we've got Facundo chat, we've obviously got incoming chat, we've got Undav chat as well. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Undav's departure first and foremost, just because it seems a little bit raw. It only happened yesterday, but it feels like so much stuff has changed in between them things. But 30 million, for someone that we got for 6 million a couple of years ago, he scored 5 goals for us. I don't think he really played many minutes in the Premier League. Obviously went on loan to Stuttgart. So we met with some great memes in the process. I gotta be honest, I saw Owen talk about it on his stream himself, and he was saying that I think Stuttgart might be one of the funniest fan bases that we've had to deal with in terms of, to be fair to them, they weren't like the Chelsea lot. They weren't like even Arsenal to some extent. They were all right, and they dealt with it quite well. But Undav, 30 million. I don't know if it's plus add-ons. I don't know if the add-ons get it up to 30 million. But either way, we're talking about 25 million profit there in a couple of years, as I said, for a player that's not really played that much. I mean, thank you for Arsenal away. If you did see the video, I think I was wearing the same top as I'm wearing today. It was appropriate to put it on. But yeah, thank you for Arsenal away. But it is what it is, I think. I don't think anyone's going to be too upset about Undav's departure, especially with how much was being sort of talked about, and there was so much stuff going on in the media. He was obviously talking about how he wanted to stay at Stuttgart, which is totally fair enough, I suppose. But I think the way he went about it just seems a little bit too much. I don't know. There was a little bit too much, forcefulness towards wanting to stay. See, someone's called him a flop. I think the weird comments from agents. I don't know if I'd call Undav a flop. Probably for the last 2-3 months that he was playing for us, I think he did hit the ground running. I think finally, he put it down to the fact that he didn't feel sort of treated by the club, by De Zerbi that well. He felt like he was sort of, forgotten about throughout the season. He wasn't getting the chances that he wanted. So I'm not sure. And that wasn't going to say, that's what I mean. I don't know if he felt like he wasn't given the chance. Then when he finally did at the end of that season, obviously scored few goals for us, as I said before. He saved us on a couple of occasions as well. But I think when you look at his performances on the major part of it, I mean, going up to that stage, yes, okay, he had that sort of settling in period, if you like. But yeah, he did struggle a lot in front of goal. Didn't really link up very well with sort of how we played. So I think in terms of play style, it was always going to be quite difficult for him probably to get himself into us. And I don't know, especially with now Hertzler's style of play, as we've seen in pre-season, there's a lot more emphasis on sort of covering the pitch, a lot more higher intensity. I don't know if Undav would have done that. I don't know what you guys think down here. The trampoline touch, it did seem a little bit like that. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to be in that stylistic fit for us, especially when we've got the likes, obviously, Joao Pedro, bringing in a couple of other attackers. I mean, dare I say it, could Gruda happen from Mainz? I mean, that's a whole conversation in and of itself. With obviously Facundo Buonanotte heading out the door today. It's a good loan, by the way. I would say that's probably the best case scenario for us is that he's going to get sort of Premier League experience, stay within a first team, being great loan. I agree. He's in a good spot. I think for us as well. I think it's just crazy the fact we're talking about sending him to a fellow Premier League club. I mean, this is Brighton we're talking about. Like, remember this? A couple of years ago, it would have been crazy for us to be sending out players to a fellow Premier League team. We're only our third season where we're not really worried about relegation. If you think about it like that, it's kind of mad that we're now quite open and quite happy to send out players to fellow Premier League teams. I mean, yes, Leicester obviously, in realistic sense, probably shouldn't be too much of a strain on us this season. But you never know. I mean, Ipswich, I think, have got a very good chance of setting themselves a good precedent this season. I've got quite high hopes for them. Gruder happening on top of who are they linked? Yeah, I think it might be a little bit too outrageous, maybe. But when you say that, I mean, look at the amount of money we got and we had to sit on sort of going into this season. We knew we had a big amount of money to be spending. So we've added on Undav, another 30 odd million to just go into this kitty of about 200 that we've had sitting there for about a year and a half. So is it that outrageous to suggest that after the last 3 transfer windows where we've been relatively quiet, we haven't really gone and spent the money that we accumulated from the likes of Caicedo, the likes of McAllister, Trossard, etc., that's all been built up over these years? I mean, these are probably targets that have gone back a long time. I mean, we'll get on to the other guys, but I think O'Reilly is probably one of those that's been linked within the media for a good couple years. So the fact that we're now taking the action, to me, isn't that surprising. So is Gruder that much of an ask to say, look, we can bring in the other guys, but we still could want them? I mean, I remember when it was coming about and we just signed Yankuba Minteh, and it was a addition on top of Minteh. And with, as I said, Facundo going out, there is a gap there. There is a gap there. Pascal Gross, yeah. I mean, I've spoke about him a lot already on this stream, but Pascal obviously going's a very, very big impact on us, as we know. There's no point in me going over Pascal's impact here. I think it's more about now, how do we move on from Pascal? I mean, it's really, really good to see him doing really well at Dortmund in the short space that he's been there for. It seems quite impactful, which is very nice to see. Ferdi's who we want. Ferdi is who we want. I've got to be honest. I did a little mini scout report on Ferdi Kadıoğlu. The Turkish fans love him. And that's always a good sort of gauge, isn't it, as to how much the fans love him. But then when you actually look at his analysis, I mean, his ability to play almost anywhere, and I mean almost anywhere, is very, very, very encouraging. Because remember, this is a team that's going to be very sort of diverse. We are going to be a little bit, all over the place, maybe to begin with. But I think we've never really focused too much on positions, have we? Particularly under Potter, under De Zerbi, we've liked to play teams and players with sort of quite a fluid style of play. Everyone sort of can move everywhere. And I think Ferdi Kadıoğlu is one of them players that, a bit like Pascal Gross, who could play left back, who can play right back, who can play through the middle. I think the difference with Kadıoğlu is you've got a bit of age there. You've also got some experience, obviously, in the Euros. He's a very, very exciting talent. I think he's been very, very highly rated within Fenerbahce and Turkey. But he can cover those positions, and he can also cover a little bit further advanced. I think he's played sort of like a second striker role, if you believe Transfer Market. He's played sort of on the wings as well. So that's almost every position apart from in goal. But hey, look, I've seen Lewis Dunk play in goal. So all I'm saying is I'm not going to put it past him. Can't wait for Saturday. Score prediction for Villarreal. I've got to be honest, the friendly's a bit dead on me. All I really care about is how we're playing, style of play. If we're playing well, that's all I really care about. We're unbeaten in pre-season so far. We've done really, really well in pre-season, actually. I think when you see Newcastle going out to Japan and sort of struggling, it's further proof of us to, we've done quite well. We've not been embarrassed. I mean, you look at Chelsea, for example, another team that's gone on their tour and really come back in a bad way. The most important thing is we've got a new manager, we've got a lot of new players, we are investing big money, but that style of play hopefully won't be too much of a big ask of the players. It's going to be very interesting to see how the results go down, but we'll see. If we don't get Kadıoğlu, do you think we'll go to Bar? I think he's going to be in there. Obviously, Walker Peters is another one that's being spoken about. We'll see about that, but I think Southampton obviously didn't want to sell him. I think West Ham started to back away. It seems, mate, honestly, it seems like anyone we go for, West Ham are there. Like, they're almost as bad as Chelsea at this point. Like, every single talent that we've been linked with in the last year, I'd say, West Ham have been trying to tempt them with a bit of money every single time. Very excited to see more of Minteh. Very, very good. Very, very good. I want to hear the chat's opinion on Minteh, by the way, because he's been very impressive in pre-season. I mean, I think there was a chant going around, wasn't there, QPR saying Minteh again. Look, it's been a while since we've signed a player that's been that impactful that quickly. Very good at pressing. Very good in front of goal as well. I mean, the style of his finishes are very confident. Very good pace. Very strong. 7 goals and 5 assists. Look, I'm not going to put too much pressure on the kid, but then when you put it this way, he is now a record signing. If you believe the £33 million quote, he is the new man. His low center of gravity gives me Messi vibes. To be fair, it sounds outrageous, but I think I get what you mean in terms of how he takes on players. It's a bit like having another Mitoma, isn't it, on the other side? I mean, Carew was so unbelievably, ridiculously good in that team of 22-23. And I think having Minteh actually on the other side is much better because, I mean, you saw us last season with Adingra, when Adingra was sort of, starting to struggle a little bit, when he was, having them bad moments, we didn't really have many other options on the right. I mean, it was only really Solly March. And then he got the injury as well. So to have Minteh coming in is going to be huge. We've obviously got Mario Kozia-Jubri as well, impressing really well. So far in pre-season, again, another player that probably didn't have the highest expectations coming here, but another one that nobody now wants to see go out on another loan. And I'm completely for that, by the way. I really want Minteh to stay. Kozia-Jubri. He looks really exciting. Really, really, really exciting. I think Arsenal fans, I spoke to AFTV, and they said that he's practically just another Saka regen. And the only reason he's not going to stay there is because they've got Bukayo Saka. And I guess that when you're a similar sort of age to someone that good, you want to impress, you want to be the next big fish. We've seen with Reece Nelson actually as one of them sort of players that has stuck there too long, and everyone's forgotten about how good he was when he went to the likes of Hoffenheim, for example, and tore it apart with Jadon Sancho at Dortmund. Everyone's forgotten about that, and everyone now associates Reece Nelson to being a bit of a waster. Really, he had the opportunity to come here, obviously, a couple of years ago. I've been very impressed by Ayari. I agree, mate. Honestly, Ayari has probably been the biggest thing to come out of pre-season for me. I wanted to get onto him actually, so I'm glad you mentioned. Ayari's been really impressive. I don't know what to expect of him, whether he stays here, but he's got so much more sort of confidence now. He looks established. I know he's been on loan. He's not really done all of that on loan, has he? But I don't know, maybe it's improved him, maybe it strengthened him up a little bit in terms of coming here and just sort of having that more senior role at the club. But he's been really, really good. It's very, very encouraging to see, obviously, with Max Weaver coming in as well. Yao Kuye, another one that's come in. Mate, we're stacked in midfield. And I think Ayari is going to be one of those 100%. Do you think Estupinian will start for us? Obviously, we've got the situation of his injury. We're not going to be seeing him come back anytime soon. I think it's September, October. So again, I wouldn't be too expecting him to come back too soon. But I think Verbruggen should be okay for Manchester United at least. At the earliest, should I say? So you can hold me to that if you want to. Weaver Baleba double pivot will be there. Oh, definitely. I've got to be honest, Weaver, there was a bit of me that was a bit worried about sort of how he was diving in, but obviously he's trying to put himself out there, and I get that. Another one that's really impressed me on pre-season has been Jeremy Sarmiento. A player that perhaps got a little bit forgotten about when he went on loan and then he came back, and we weren't really sure if he'd go for another loan. He went to Copa America, did really, really well, and I think we're now in a situation of he could stick around as well, and I wouldn't be against that at all. The only problem is with Sarmiento is how much competition we're talking about on these wings. Is he going to want to get a little bit more of to be that guy, isn't he? He wants to be that man. If you're Sarmiento, he's that sort of talisman player. He wants to be that talisman. So I could see that, but I would like him to stay now. I really would. We'll get on some of the links because I'm still waiting on Brighton Bubble to text me back. He said he would be coming. I've got no idea where he is, but it doesn't make a difference to the stream at all. The signings wise, bringing in obviously Kadıoğlu you mentioned, but Matt O'Reilly, it looks like a really, really, really serious link. Really serious link. To the point now where I'm getting quietly confident. I'm getting a little bit comfortable, maybe. It's good to hear your guys' thoughts on O'Reilly. Maybe a little bit of a sort of Pascal Grossi type player, sort of like that exciting talent in midfield. Worry Chelsea will come in. That's a very, very good point. I mean, my look at it is they did it with Dewsbury Hall, right? Surely surely they don't need another one, right? Surely, because it only makes sense for them not to need another one. Because I just can't see that. I hope we get it wrapped up soon, 100%. Because I would be very surprised if they need another midfielder. So I think with someone as good as O'Reilly, obviously he's going to be talked about with big teams, and obviously the likes of Chelsea, the likes of West Ham are going to want him. But I think if you're in his situation right now, he's 23. He's now seen Pascal Gross go out the door. There's a massive opportunity at Brighton, right? We're making some very, very good signings. We're massively progressing very quickly. I think when you even compare this stream now to the one that maybe we did when De Zerbi first went, or when we were talking about Potter coming back, we're a bit shaky. We're a bit worried. We didn't really know the direction of where we were going. Brighton now are looking really strong. I think no one can really doubt that. So I think that in itself is a selling point for someone like Matt O'Reilly, who, look, he's been an absolute gem over in Celtic. I've been speaking to a Celtic contact of mine on Twitter, and I'll shout him out as well. He said not to give credit, but I will. His name's Everything Celtic. I asked him to give me sort of like a bit of a brief as to what to expect from someone as good as Matt O'Reilly. And he said he's got a very good head on his shoulders for such a young man, makes the best decisions for his career, which has shown he's rejected a new deal at Fulham, went to MK Dons for more regular football. So he's done this before. He's not a stranger to wanting to go to somewhere to value his career. He's done a lot of meditation with the likes of online coaches in India. He actually met them and traveled over there during the summer as well. As a player, he's incredible. He doesn't really have any weaknesses at all and gets better and better. His vision, first touch, shooting, creativity, and awareness is all impressive. And along with his work rate, ball retention is also good. 2 man of the match performances in the Champions League. So I can't speak highly enough of him. He's really come into the following of Brendan Rodgers' arrival, but he was told after Atletico Madrid move was rejected that he'd have the opportunity in the summer to leave. So I expect him to. So that's a very good piece from the Celtic sort of point of view. The way I look at it is, look, it's a bit like when we lose one of our big players and we can't talk about them highly enough. Probably a bit like McAllister, really. It seems like he's got that aura. He's coming over. He's got the backing of Celtic fans. I think Celtic fans are actually quite surprised that he's going to a team like Brighton. Which, to be fair, I guess if you take a little zoom out, you can see why. But yeah, KDH, I mean, it's pretty much a replacement for him, isn't it, really? Without even ever signing him, it's a replacement for KDH because, yes, obviously we wanted him, but we've moved on. We now want our own players. Gross, yeah, he'll probably rot at Chelsea. Gross is obviously gone. There's a massive gap in the market at Brighton to be the new talisman, the new Pascal Gross, to be the new sort of hero here. Weaver and O'Reilly start together. See, I think they will, because Weaver's more of like a holding sort of player. I think O'Reilly's going to be one of them sort of players where he's going to be a little bit more creativity. He's going to go for it a little bit more, and he's going to, take the game by the scruff of the neck. One of those sort of creative players that we definitely need. Weaver, on the other hand, is probably going to be one that sits back, a proper number 6, someone that we've actually needed for such a long period of time. How long is it since we've had someone that's a proper number 6? Obviously, Caicedo, probably a little bit more of a number 8, I would say, realistically. Was obviously very capable of anchoring the midfield. But when you look at us last season, I mean, how many times did we have to say our midfield's getting battered here? Big time. And it's about time that we had, as much as I like the likes of Moder, as much as I like the likes of Gilmour, you have to move on, right? You have to move on. Dahoud as well. You have to move on, and you have to beef it up a little bit. You have to give a little bit more to, Villa, Luton. But you look at the sort of style of them games, it was just the midfield. And every single time in transition, I think I remember the first game of last season against Luton. And mate, we just got obliterated. Every single time they come through, and this is against Luton, the first game of the season, these are the newly promoted teams, we were just getting run through. And I was thinking, if this was any half-decent team, and then you see us against Villa, the 6-1, I think that was only September of last season. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, I agree. We do need midfield. And when you look at the likes of Diego Gomez, obviously now being talked about, he's another one. Probably going to join us in January. Another one that's going to be talked about, a bit like probably O'Reilly. O'Reilly, obviously, very high work rates, but I think Gomez probably a bit more. He's been a captain, obviously, for Paraguay, hasn't he, in the Olympics. Very capable of getting back, obviously very capable of getting forward. I think he's created some very good chances for them. Obviously, get a couple of assists. I think he got that last minute one a few weeks ago. And he's also just a very strong player, very good number 8. Another one that we're going to need further down the line. Diego Gomez coming in January. It opens an opportunity, doesn't it? When you look at the season, it's a long season. I'm not against him going out again when we've got O'Reilly coming in. I see a lot of people sort of getting a little bit worried maybe in terms of the personnel and not quite sure what's going to happen next. But for me, I'm quite comfortable. I don't know about you guys. I'm quite comfortable. I think that our squad's looking arguably better than it ever has done, really. I mean, when you look at the squads of, say, last season, probably one of the worst in terms of where we should have been. We probably should have had this summer, last summer, but I guess everything was really struggling. Can't believe how far we've come from there. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that genuinely, when you look at the squad in terms of quality of players, we've got one of the best squads we've had, and I think people won't really think about that until they see us play. And I completely get that, and it's fine. But I think when you see us play next season, it ultimately depends really on how the manager goes down, doesn't it? Obviously, I've heard that the training intensity is really, really high. They're really, really going for it in training. It's very intense. Which I can understand, of course. You can understand it's a sort of like a gegenpressing game, isn't it? It's German pressing. It's very, very strong. But yeah, everyone's sort of writing it off. Everyone's sort of maybe just thinking Brighton are back to where they used to be. I saw a couple of people doing their predictions saying that Brighton are going to finish in the sort of below Palace again. Palace are going to be the ones to worry about. But when I look at Palace and I look at us, and I'm quietly more confident. I'm actually thinking, do you know what? And I was speaking to a couple of Palace content creators about this as well. I'll shout out Ollie, talk CPFC. And I was saying, mate, I actually think we could finish above you. And he actually agreed with me. And I think when you look at it from a neutral point of view, you look at Brighton as going through a lot of transition, a lot of new players coming in. They've lost a lot of yeah, it will be a JFC 100%. They've lost a lot of key figures. We've lost the likes of Pascal Gross, De Zerbi, Lallana. I get it, right? But don't doubt us. Yeah, don't doubt us, because I don't think there's any reason or need to doubt us yet. Because I think, as I said to you guys at the beginning of this summer, the way I'll doubt Bloom's decision-making, Barber's decision-making would be if we've got Potter back. If we got Potter back, I'd have doubted the whole thing. And I'd have said, what are we doing? And that would have been the thing that would have finally triggered me to say the other way. But we didn't. We got a new manager and we started bringing in some new players, and we're looking really, 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 really smart ahead of the new season. Player kit, new keeper kits. Oh God, the new Hyper Turk. I like the fact this is sticking around. I saw something about the fact we've got a new third kit next year as well. So hopefully we could see Hyper Turk coming back. I've got to be honest. When I saw the new Brighton kit, I thought that the pinstripes were Hyper Turk at the beginning. I'm kind of gutted they didn't do that. From a design point of view, that would have been great. To keep that color around, I think they have to do it because it's gone down so well, and it just makes absolute sense to keep it. I'll just read up through the chat a little bit for anything that I've missed. We'll take them through by storm. Well, do you know what? I'll take that. Hoping to see everyone saying that Brighton have done it again. I mean, the thing is with the whole Brighton have done it again thing is everyone's late to the trend, and I saw something. I saw something about was it Evan Ferguson, and I absolutely love Evan, and I think he's a great player. He's a great talent, 100%. But was he maybe a little bit overhyped? For where he was at in his career, we just gave him too much. I think everyone gave him too much, and for what he actually needed as a quiet sort of, getting himself established sort of player, he just needed a bit of time. He probably could have done without scoring a hat-trick against Newcastle in a weird way. As much as it was probably great for his development, actually sometimes you need to just stay under the radar a little bit. Perhaps a bit like how Facundo has. Facundo's gone to, obviously, Leicester today, but Leicester fans are asking me, is he any good? And I'm thinking, you're a newly promoted team asking me if Facundo's any good. I mean, most of us fans were thinking Facundo should stick around this season. So I think it's a little bit maybe the media buys into what they want around Brighton and then say, oh, we've done it again when they score a goal, and then forget about us again, and then we're irrelevant. And I never quite understand that. His injury was definitely there for a while. Yeah, his injury definitely hurt him. His injury definitely hurt him. I think last year we saw it since pretty much that. The Southampton. Yeah, I think he sort of just went off a cliff. He went off a cliff, unfortunately. But he will be back. 100% he'll be back. But I think my more to my point is where the media just sort of overhype him, give him everything, saying he's the next Harry Kane, and then all of a sudden he's not playing, and then everyone forgets about him, but then still associates him silently as the next Harry Kane without even knowing anything about him whatsoever. So it's a very, very interesting one. Have we agreed personal terms with Kadıoğlu? I don't know. I think Kadıoğlu, he apparently had 3 offers, according to the same source yesterday, who's been quite accurate in Turkey. So we'll be quietly confident with it, I think, until obviously if it's like a Manchester United or something that has put the bid in, then that's maybe when we could worry a little bit. One is West Ham, not sure on the other. That's not that much of a surprise, is it? Turkish source all over the place. Yeah, that's it. So I think that's really the situation we're in. It's like, are we making sure we've got the right, the right stuff? That's why I don't want to report everything that I see on Kadıoğlu, because I think we had a similar situation with Orjan Çakır, if you guys remember that one. I remember speaking to a Turkish agent back then and trying to get the right thing about this goalkeeper, and they were saying, yeah, it's going to happen. Realistically, was it? No. We never even heard of it. Most of the chat probably don't even know who the guy is. So I think pick and take what you take out of media, from Turkish sources, from sources in general outside of Brighton and outside of what you sort of know. It can be quite difficult to get the right information from different places because everyone's just trying to get a bit of money out of the situation. Let's have a look through the chat there. You can do the Brighton logo behind you. Look, come on, the Brighton. I quite like the Talk Seagulls one, the TSI. I think it looks very cool. It might be a point to get Ferdi deal code faster. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. The Ferdi deal, I think that they just want to get the right move, the most amount of money out of the move. And that's basically what the media are trying to do. They'll try and get the best move for the player and try and get the most money out of the situation. So if that comes from West Ham, if that comes from Manchester United, that's where he'll go. My quiet confidence is that we've got a good project going on. And if you are a player that wants to progress, then, I like to hope you choose Brighton these days. I do. So we've sort of covered Ferdi Kadıoğlu in terms of where he plays. Obviously, probably the number one target, you would say, and probably one of the most necessary when you look at the squad at the moment as it is. I think the next one is obviously looking into that centre-back role. And this is the one that really surprised me probably the most in terms of links. I've really, really didn't see it coming. I was thinking of more of like a Levi Colwill mold, like a Van Hecker mold, someone that's quite young, quite getting ready to sort of make their come up, quite a progressive ball-playing centre-back that may be a little bit raw, similarly to how we've raised Ben White. But instead we get linked with Mats Hummels. And Mats Hummels is obviously a legend of the game. He's not just a legend of Germany. He's not just a legend of Dortmund. He's not just a legend of Bayern. He's a legend of football. This is a serious name to even be linked with. I would be very surprised. I would be very surprised if he still comes. I'm going to keep a reservation about Hummels because, it is a good source. It is a good source. It's Plettigol, Florian Plettenberg, a very good source. Still played 40 games last season. I wouldn't believe the 1+1 year contract yet. I'd wait until you get better information on that one. He played 40 games. He's been absolutely instrumental. He's a World Cup winner, if I'm right in saying. He's been unbelievable for Dortmund over a number of different years. He's been unbelievable for Bayern over a number of different years. He's been unbelievable for the German national team for a number of years. I mean, he is a serious, by any stretch of the definition, legend. So to even come here is going to be crazy. He's going to be a serious influence on the dressing room. Probably, we were worried about getting Lallana in, for example. I love Lallana, but Hummels is a serious influence. I mean, especially for someone like Van Hecker, especially even for someone like Dunk to learn from. I mean, Dunk's the captain, but Hummels is a captain of Germany. Yeah, this is someone that he's going to learn from big time. Atom better. Atom's going to be really interesting in the future. I'll give him time. He's going to be a very big project, but he's not ready yet. Hummels' dad is his agent, and his agent coached at Bayern Youth set up when Hertz was there, so they knew each other for a number of years. That is very interesting, actually. I didn't know that. So thank you for pointing that out, because Hertz was obviously in that Bayern youth setup, wasn't he, for a while? Hummels, as I say, he's an unbelievable player. I think he is linked with a couple more players though. Teams. I think West Ham want him. If I'm right in saying, obviously, of course, why wouldn't West Ham want him? So I guess it's just going to be a situation of him. Is he going to want to call it a day? He's 35, although he is playing regular football and just got to a Champions League final. Is he going to want to call it a day? Or does he see himself trying something else? I mean, when you look at it this way, Herzl's football is very, very intense. It's very, very progressive. Does he want to go for that yet? Does he want to do that right now? Does he want to just relax a little bit? I don't know. We don't know, because he's also considered retirement, as you say. And is he ready to just take on a whole new challenge, or does he just want to put his feet up and chill? I hope he doesn't, for our sake. But obviously, when you look at it on his perspective, you're like, pressing football. You know what I mean? So maybe he doesn't, but I don't know. We'll see. I saw one here about Fabian Herzler, if I'm right in saying. I just need to bring it back up. Levi talked about, I saw this as well. Levi was being given hammers at Chelsea, which is crazy. Really crazy, actually, because this is a player that I thought was relatively faultless apart from about 2 or 3 games in his loan for us. But hey, this is what they do. This is what they do. Herzler to leave and Hummels to take charge after him. Mate, Hummels to be older than him. That's what's crazy. I think he's going to be about 4 years older than him, which is ridiculous. When you met Herzler, what was your sense of him? Is he funny, friendly? I tell you what, my sense of Herzler, I met him and it was just like me and him just stood there at the end, which was kind of weird, and it was just a bit like talking to one of the boys. You know what I mean? I was just talking to, an all right boy. We were a similar sort of age. We were just talking about Brighton in general, the city where he wants to live. He wants to go to Hove or wherever he was going for, or if he said in the press conference. He was always, is that all right? I was like, yeah. Talking about the university lives and, about the unis around here and what's around Brighton, around the Amex. And it was just kind of like, wow, fair play. I mean, he says it in his press conferences, doesn't he, about being sort of the friendly persona and likes to treat everyone the same. But genuinely, in my experience, he's done exactly that. Not many people stick around and talk, not many at all. So to have that sort of aura about you, to want to do that is a very, very big thing about Fabian Herzler, 100%. If James Milner is still in the team, Hummels can be. That's very true. But then again, I think James Milner is one of them that's going to probably take a little bit of a advanced role in the future, and who could blame him? He's a great character to have around. Do one of Dunk and Van Hecker go to the bench for Hummels? I don't think so. Personally, the way I look at it is a back three, because I think he likes to play a back three. It's Herzler, so I would say back three for them, and then obviously you've got Hummels, Van Hecker, and Dunk. I haven't seen us been linked with any other centre backs yet. Obviously, Igor's been talked about on the way out as well, which is another one that could be raising some extra funds. I mean, what do we get him for? Was it 15 million last season? So even if we get a 5-10 million profit on him, that's a very, very good piece of business for a player that was sort of all right last year. But I don't think many would complain too much if we're bringing in the likes of Hummels and potentially a younger player as well for the future. Who's everyone most looking forward to seeing play this season? I'm wanting to see Barco more. I feel he has so much potential. 100%, 100% Barco. Barco's looking very encouraging, very encouraging. I still haven't decided where he plays. I don't know about you guys, but is he a left back? Is he a winger? I mean, he even sort of comes inside, doesn't he, a little bit? He sort of goes into midfields every now and then. He drifts, but I guess we'll see with him, because obviously he's going to start left back to begin with, because we haven't got a Stepin yet, unless we get Kadıoğlu and he pushes him out the team. But the trouble with winger is that we've got Mitoma's going to be almost a nailed on left winger unless he's injured again. I can't see Mitoma even being budged next season. He will have a serious season. I've got a real good vibe about him. It is a long season, 100%. But then even looking past him, what do we do with the likes of Adingra, for example? Minteh is obviously going to be one of our big players on the other side. Kadıoğlu could play right back. Yeah, I think that's in my mind how it works at the moment. Is Kadıoğlu goes right, and then you've obviously got Veltman. You don't want to put too much strain on Lamptey. My looking is, if you have about 2 or 3 players in each position, you're looking quite healthy. But we will see. I thought it was a 1/2 stream for some reason. Mate, It is a 12:30, although to this moment, we still haven't received a Brighton bubble message. So it has been a purely solo shift from me. It's been quite fun, actually. I've been very much enjoying the chat and sort of just going on with you guys. Have we missed anything, by the way? Any other players you wanted me to talk about? Anyone we wanted mentioning? Bubble has not existed yet. He has literally popped. Bubble's popped, mate. I don't know where he is at all. I can't wait for Matoma to be back. Spot with us. Yes, okay, I agree. Mitoma is just going to be unbelievable. I really want to see Solly come back strong, but I'm also sad Minteh is probably going to take the spot. See, Solly's a whole other situation. A whole other situation because Solly's difficult. Because I really want him back. But I think my looking at it is I just want him to be here. And he doesn't even have to be in and around the first team. He just has to be here. If you get to see him play one more game, then great. But I think that's the expectation of Solly March, because I do fear that people maybe overestimate what Solly can do next season. I mean, it has to be said, he's had 2 major injuries on his knee. Major injuries on his knee last year. He's 30 years old. It's not going to be easy to recover from. He's had injuries in the past as well. He's not just going to come back and be the Solly you remember. As much as that's horrible to say about him, I really, really hope that I'm wrong. Really, really hope that I'm wrong. But I would be very surprised if he's fit next year to even play half the games. And just to see him in a Brighton shirt again would be, in my opinion, the expectation and the dream. And if that's further back in left wing back or something like that to cover, completely fine by me. Whatever is good, Solly, that's fine. Jack Hinchelwood's obviously, yeah, mate, good. So good to see him back at QPR. Obviously a top talent. I mean, we could see him a little bit more in midfield this season with a little bit less pressure on him. He established himself, didn't he, last season? I think if he didn't get the injury, he would have pretty much been nailed on. He'd have been nailed on to be starting every week, which is insane to say for an 18-year-old that's from Worthing. You know what I mean? But here we are. Odella Fire. I would be surprised if he doesn't go on loan or sold, personally. That's just me. I really like Fire in terms of he's been very patient. He's waited his time. He's gone on to right back when he could have been a centre back. He's covered for the team. He did really well at the end of last season to come in. But at the end of the day, we have to improve. And I think the way we're going at the moment, I think we're being quite ruthless, if I'm honest. We're being very ruthless. And we're letting players go. We're letting Moda go. We're letting Undav go. And we're not being too caught up on anybody's loyalties. We're not really worrying too much. We're just going. And I've got to be honest, I think it's a good thing for the club to do it. I do, because it's hard reality, isn't it, to be like this, to be ruthless and let people go. But I think when you're in this situation at the moment of the club knows they can get to Europe and further, and last season we took a little bit of a regression in that ambition. You know, you have to sacrifice to get to that situation, and unfortunately, sacrifice does have to happen in the first team as well. It's not just the reserve players, but sometimes you have to say, look, this player may not be good enough to be in our starting 11 next year. As much as they have been good for us, we can appreciate, we can thank, but we have to move on. And I think that's unfortunate reality of where we are at the moment. And that's it. Baker Boker, I can never say his stupid name. Baker Boerty. I'm so sorry. Benicio. But yes, looks very good. Mate, I can't believe he's gone to League Two. I can't believe he's gone to League Two. He got, 5 appearances for us last season in the Premier League? This is a player that was really highly rated, and even some people had as their rogue shouts to break out this season. I mean, you know, to go to a League Two team, I mean, even a League One could have been maybe a little bit harsh on the guy. This is the guy that's got Premier League appearances, remember, for 18, 19, 20-year-old. He's very young. But yeah, I think he's past League Two. Which is maybe not a bad thing. Maybe it's someone like a Ferguson, for example, could absolutely flourish in going to a lower level team to just absolutely rip it to bits and gain, as Jake says here, an absolute boatload of confidence and be the man. As long as he doesn't go there and be the other way around and sort of get an ego and think he's too good for it and doesn't try. Because you see that a lot in the lower leagues where players think and expect to be like Ronaldo, but then they don't put the work in, and then you lose the talent. You know, you see so many of them situations. So, you know, you only got to go watch Crawley, for example, when they're in League Two. I remember when I did some work with them guys, and we would see these great talents, and you just think, but they just think that they're Premier League now, and they don't do it. Oh my, I forgot about Evan 100%. I mean, I'd like to see Evan maybe get a loan. If we get this situation to loan him, obviously Zhao and Welbeck are great, but I think if you don't have Undav as well, then we're struggling. So maybe we at the moment we need to keep him around. We probably may need another striker. Actually, that's a question for the chat. What do you think about the striker situation? Obviously, with no Undav, do you think we need another one? Because obviously Welbeck can be quite injury prone. Joao Pedro had a lot of situations last season. Yeah, I'd like another one as well. I think the only difference is now is, we've almost bolstered the wings up in a way. Yeah, Osman can play up front, but he can also play on the wing, and he can sort of, maybe that way we might be able to get away with it. The goals come across the team as opposed to just playing up front. So maybe that's not as important as it used to be. Osman obviously would be really, really good to have, sort of dropping that a little bit deeper. Very surprised to see Bonanotte go on loan and not Osman. I haven't seen enough of Osman to say that. I'm glad to get onto the Osman situation though, because I thought actually was it the game before last, he actually looked really good. QPR wasn't too much to take from it, to be honest. It was just one of them sort of dull games where nothing really happened. But Osman, yeah, I wouldn't mind a loan, but I think at this situation right now, I would keep him, because when you look at the likes of Enciso, when you look at the likes of Bonanotte before they had their sort of surge, I think Enciso particularly, I think it's best at the moment just to keep them players around, because he's obviously a good player. Otherwise, we wouldn't have spent 16, 17 million on him. So I think to begin with, keep him. And then if he does struggle by January, let him go on loan. Unless we sign Rutter or Gruder. Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is the subject we were on at the beginning of the stream on Rutter. On Gruder. Is it too much of an ask to want Gruder as well? Because obviously he's predominantly a right winger. It almost feels like we're hoarding talent at this point. But Rutter's a really interesting one, because he is sort of that Joao Pedro mold, if you like, but obviously a lot less clinical than. But we'll see. I don't think Osman was playing it. Yeah, I agree. He's playing sort of centrally. I would have liked to see him on the left, personally. Obviously, that's where he was so good. He was almost like a little bit of Mitoma-esque, wasn't he, when he was at his former club? Thoughts on Ciso? Astu getting in the way slightly, it seems. Possibly, but I wouldn't put it out there yet, because I think he's had a bit of a struggle, hasn't he, out in the Olympics? I mean, he's been great. He's been great to watch, and he is a great talent when he has his moment. But I think the biggest problem really with Enciso, and I think Paraguayans have said exactly the same, is the sort of greed, maybe a little bit of an ego on him, a little bit of an attitude on him, and obviously dropped off the pitch, didn't he, when he got subbed, which wasn't a great look for him, and got absolute pelters over in Paraguay. So hopefully it's only a blip. Hopefully it's only a little moment. Be quite nice for him to snap out of that, because you don't want to see players sort of fuel their ego too highly to the point where they overestimate themselves and sort of lose their ability, their potential, should I say. Who do you predict the next big money sale to be? I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. I don't like to want to sell players, because the reason is because we're in a situation now where we're now progressing up, and I want to stay. I want to stay with what we got. It's our model to grow, yes, but I think we're now establishing. I think sales won't be as big as they were, and that's actually been sped up by Caicedo. People confuse Enciso's passion with arrogance. I completely agree with that. I think the trouble with Enciso's arrogance is, I think De Zerbi alluded to it, didn't he, last season in a press conference? And I remember him saying something about Julio. Sometimes he has to be sort of dragged back down. Sometimes he gets a bit too high, which is fine, completely. That's it. That's your nature. And if your nature is to always be the best, that is absolutely what you want. But I think with Enciso, maybe as a player, I think we just absolutely know how good he is and how good he can be. If that's the answer you want, actually, you're probably right. Julio could probably be the next big sale. But I really want him to stick around, and I really want him to get better, because we can all see it. We've seen absolute more than glimpses of Julio and how good he is. So I really, really, really hope we can keep him and his head sort of heading in the right direction. Do we know if Enciso is still injured from the Olympics? That's a good question for the chat. I think he wasn't as bad as we thought. Maybe someone could verify that in the comments, please. We have plenty of players driving back down. He could be unreal, 100%. And actually, that's one thing. If Hummels does come in, could be really, really good. I'm sure we'll probably get a bomber as soon as I end this stream. Every single time I come off, a massive piece of information comes out. I think it's anyone. It'll be Pedro. I think, mate, Pedro will be mega money, because you think he was 30 million signing for us, and if he's scoring 20 goals in his first season, we're talking big money, because I really can't see us selling him for less than Caicedo, for example. Caicedo is a £6 million signing, remember. Pedro is 30. So the way that we run, if we are going to let him go, it would be a big number. Big number. Heard rumours will accept 50 to 60. No chance. No chance. Pedro to Arsenal. No, not yet. I mean, unless they really go all out. I think they'd have to go above Caicedo's figure, 100%. Because what time have we got really to replace him, and who have we got to replace him with? So it'd be massive. Gilmour, can you drag the tweet in here? If you copy and paste the link to tweets, it goes in here, and it's much easier to read any information and news that's been out. Graham Bailey's a hit and miss source, so don't take a great deal from him. You could take what you want, but don't take too much. They won't spend that much money. I highly doubt them being like that, but we'll see. Napoli replay. Yeah, here you go. So agreed terms. I mean, I can believe it. I can believe it. Get some reaction to Gilmour in the chat. But I'm happy with it in a way. Obviously, Graham Bailey's not the be all and end all, so I'm not going to take him as fact. But I think it's more of a matter of when than if with someone like Gilmour at the moment and going to Napoli. For the figure of 20 now, I think makes more sense. I'm not as sort of worried about that happening now. I think when it was 12, 13, that seems way too low. Personal terms, I agree. It's just been said, just the figure now. Yeah, I think 20 would be about right. And I think that would probably get a deal done. And I don't think, if I'm right in saying, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but you guys can agree and disagree. I think 20 would probably be about right. And I would take it, to be honest. Yes, agreed. Yeah, 20's fair. I think as well. Gilmour's been great. I absolutely love Billy Gilmour. I think he's had a really, really hard time, I think, here, because he obviously had a real big scandal going on in his personal life, struggled to adapt. He was quite anxious, wasn't he, when he first came? And then he sort of established himself, made himself a bit of a little mini leader. He's got a good leadership qualities about him, I think. But when it came to playing on the pitch, I think realistically past what he could do, I don't know what more he could do. And I think when you're looking at the new sort of system that we need, it's players that are going to be able to cover a good deal of ground, and it's players that are going to be very physical, and it's players that are going to be very athletic. And I think, unfortunately, when you look at someone like Gilmour, it's just not going to be that sort of situation for him here. So it's good that he's going to a team that's going to be, heavily passing dominated. He's going under Conte, a little bit more pragmatic perhaps, but he's going to enjoy that, I think. And I think he's going to need that compared to probably what we've got here. As sad as it probably is, because he's been part of the sort of Chelsea Part 1 crew, hasn't he, coming over and struggling with us. So I think he'll always be Brighton to heart, but I think he's definitely got to go now. I think it'll be good for him, and it'll be good for us to get an extra bit of money in, really. And this is money that's going towards players like Matt O'Reilly, players like Ferdi Kadıoğlu, players like Gruder, by the way, who we mentioned earlier, Rutter as well, that he mentioned from Leeds. These are big signings. Mats Hummels as well. These are big signings, big signings for a team of our stature to be making now. And Billy Gilmour going for 20 million and another player off the wage books is a huge fee for us. I mean, we're in a very, very, very exciting situation. As I said earlier, I think this is the moment for us. But stream, this has been brilliant. I've really enjoyed. Been on for about an hour. I'm just going to get your guys' thoughts. If there's anything else you want me to cover before wrapping up, because I think we've just about got through everything. It's a shame that Bubble didn't join, but it is what it is. It's just me. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. A few worries with Hummels' pace and wages. Agreed. Pace has been the biggest thing. Brighton Bottle, yeah, go mate, go fill his comments on Twitter with Brighton Bottle, or Bubble Popped or something like that. Just go give him it. Owen Clear. No, joking aside, it's all been good fun. Where do we want to finish next season? Get it in the chat as well. Let's get some numbers only. Numbers only. No. Yeah, 7th. Do you know what? 8th, 6th, 7th, 1st. Outrageous. Okay, 8th following Europe. 10th. I want Europe again. I do. I really do. I'm the 8th Conference League. Yeah, I'm the optimistic one here, and I think we can do it as well. I really do. Be happy with top 10. Come on, Norms. Come on, let's go higher. Heart says 8th. Heart says 6th, sorry. Head says 8th. Can't get 9th of Europe. Yes. No, 9th can't get Europe, I don't think, unless I'm wrong. Domestic treble. Okay, I'm gonna go 7th as well. I'm gonna go 7th as well. And if we get top 6 again, I think that'd be massive. But what I'd like to see is, I don't know what you guys think. Would you take a bit of a cup run and really, really going for a trophy this year? Because how many times do we get it about being Brighton fans and not winning anything? And I'd love to have just a bit, just a bit of a taste of what it's like. We've never seen a trophy lifted apart from League One. Rory Jennings has us going down. Let him, mate. Let him. Anyways, thank you for joining me. It's all been good fun. Depends on where it affects we finish. 100%. 100%. Carabao, mate. If we win the Carabao, it's one of the biggest things ever. One of the biggest things ever in this club's history, and that's how the situation of the club. That's what we should remember where we've come from at all times. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Of course, make sure you follow me, Talk Seagulls, on all platforms, and we'll see you very, very soon for some very interesting new interview content, by the way, as well. So you guys are gonna like it. But yeah, thank you all, guys. Cheers. Goodbye.